There used to be a small YouTube channel called Sam's Online Food Review. It was run by my best friend Sam Ryder, a channel full of videos that consisted of Sam eating and reviewing food and drink before a camera. His channel garnered around 10,000 subscribers, which although it wasn't huge, it was big enough for Sam to be dedicated to it. I can recall numerous times of sitting in the passenger seat in his car, staying out of his shot as moments prior he announced he wanted to video himself trying something he picked up in the store, only moving after to sign off with his signature thumbs up or down and his catchphrase, "I liked it," or "I loathed it." He was liked for his friendly attitude and happy all-round good guy persona. He was well received by his audience. Rarely were there any hate comments, and where there was, Sam would just shrug them off and keep smiling. Sam was always smiling. Sam's Online Food Review went dark 7 months ago. No warning, no notice, just deactivated. I didn't hear or see from Sam, despite numerous phone calls and house visits to no avail. 6 days after his channel was deleted, I called the police to do a welfare check on him. I was worried he had fallen ill or hurt himself. The police made entry into his property and found nothing, and Sam was declared a missing person. A week after Sam was declared missing, a dog walker discovered a horrifically mutilated corpse on a railway line. The body had severe lacerations all around the head, arms, chest, and legs, and was almost cut into two across the waist. The decomposing internal organs splayed out of the gruesome V-shaped cut. The autopsy report noted that although no direct cause of death could be confirmed, it was likely the large slit in the throat that brought on death. The autopsy also turned up questionable findings, including the body missing its stomach and heart, long strips of flesh removed from the chest, arms, and lower back, and that the body was exsanguinated. The scene wasn't remarkably bloody, yet the body was almost completely drained of blood. 2 weeks later, the police had identified the deceased. Despite the damage that occurred to the corpse, the teeth were intact enough to get a viable reference for dental records. My worst fears for Sam were realized. It was him. The police investigated, but could not find forensic evidence or any other person being on the scene. They eventually came to the conclusion that he was hit by a passing freight train. The lacerations and disembowelment are attributed to being dragged under, and the missing organs explained away as being eaten by wildlife. A fox, maybe. I don't know what they said. Sam's mother decided it was best to cremate what remained of her only son. I stood next to her as the beach coffin was pulled into the large furnace. As the door closed and the gas jets ignited with a whoosh, she broke down into tears, and so did I. I stood there sobbing for the entire 90 minutes it took for one of the people I grew up with and shared so many memories with was vaporized. I mourned my friend and done my best to move on. And it was going well. I got distracted, got a new job, started dating someone I met through work. A few months passed, and even though I missed Sam, things were going well. Right up to the point when I was browsing Reddit at 3 a.m. that I received a Facebook message from the account of my dead friend. I froze, seeing his picture in the messenger bubble. A picture taken during good times. Sam's wide smile plastered on his face. I felt a sudden chill, A profound sense of fear enveloped me. You know, the fear that makes you cold, and your limbs ache as the slow drip of adrenaline spreads throughout your body. With dread, I opened the message. It was a link to a file-sharing website. I stared at the seemingly random amalgamation of numbers and letters that made up the URL, my head racing through what the hell was on the other side of the link, and more importantly, why did my dead friend send it to me? My hand seemingly on autopilot brought the cursor above the link. With my gut instinct screaming no, I clicked the link. Before my finger had lifted off the click, I immediately regretted what I did. Chrome opened a new tab to a website. The screen was grey, apart from a black rectangle in the middle of the page, which had a play button over it. I stared at it, unwilling to click. What was I scared of? I did not know. Around 10 seconds had passed, and the screen refreshed. Instead of the play button, the rectangle had the words auto-playing in 5 seconds, in bright white on it. I watched as the numbers counted down, trying to understand what was going on. An abrupt buzzing noise made me jump. The video began to play. The camera was pointed at what appeared to be a grimy white-tiled surface. I could hear the sound of muffled whimpering, followed by footsteps of someone approaching the camera. There was some slight rustling noise as the camera was adjusted. The screen blurred out as the camera was turned. When the camera came back into focus, I let out a choked gasp. In the middle of the white-tiled room, Sam lay on his back on a stainless steel table, his eyes wide in pure unfiltered terror. The light of a single bulb hanging over the table reflected off the sheen of sweat that coated his forehead. His naked chest rising and falling rapidly in panic. He looked into the camera and attempted to yell, the noise muffled by a tight cloth gag that was bound around his head. His hands were also bound together, tied with duct tape. I stared at the screen, feeling increasingly sick, my brain failing to grasp what was going on. Before I could even comprehend what was happening, the sound of Sam's squirming and whimpering was interrupted by a high pitch.
Welcome to Sam's online food review. Today, we have a special treat.
The mocking tone came from behind the camera. Sam's panic increased. He started jerking his body, trying to free his hands. The voice continued.
Today, we will try what is considered a delicacy in many countries, although it is usually a forbidden one, that is.
The camera zoomed out slightly, and a man appeared in the frame standing in front of Sam. He was dressed in a white coat with a red striped apron on. He wore a butcher's hat and a cloth face mask. In his rubber-gloved hands, he held a large red-handled butcher's scimitar, and in the other, he held a sharpening rod. The man started running the knife up and down the blade in a smooth fashion, the steel on steel making a smooth shk, shk, shk noise. Sam's panicked, muffled yells growing stronger. The man placed down the sharpening rod and walked around the table. Sam turned his head and started what sounded like desperate pleading with the man.
Poor lamb, poor little lamb.
The man cooed. It won't hurt. It won't hurt long. And you'll be delicious. Even from here, I could see that tears filled my friend's eyes. As he struggled, the man rolled Sam onto his front and pulled his head over the edge of the table. The man then walked out of shot and returned with a metal bucket. He placed it on the floor below Sam's head. In a swift motion, he grabbed a tuft of Sam's hair and lifted his head and started slitting his throat. The crimson burst from his neck and splashed over the bucket and onto the floor. My friend's body jerking uncontrollably as blood spewed out of his neck like a volcanic eruption. As I watched this, I happened to throw up. I fell out of my chair in horror. I pulled myself up. I pulled myself away, not able to see anymore. I fell again by the door, the speakers of my computer loud enough to hear what sounded like slicing and grunting. I lay curled up in the corner, sobbing amidst a panic attack. The minutes feeling like hours. When the sound stopped, I shakily got up and walked to my computer. Avoiding the pool of sick on the floor, I forced myself to look at the screen. The page had closed, and Chrome displayed the Reddit screen. The Facebook tab had one notification. I didn't want to click it, but I willed myself to. It was a message from Sam. It said, "I liked it.